Okay na ba? So good afternoon. Si Sir Balili ang i-interview namin today for our documentary sa ENGSAFE. So let's start. So Sir, I am Edward Pe and we conduct interview.
Yes.
So the number one question is, what is safety and what is a safety engineer for you?
Let's just say, safety, not exactly the definition, is achieved through conscious effort. Every movement, every detail must be designed with safety in mind. So for example, if it's a construction site, you can't just say to the laborers, oh, ingat kayo dyan, baka mabulot kayo dyan. You have to put handrails. You have to design the site such that there's a very, very low chance that accidents should happen. So, as the saying goes, there are no accidents, only neglect, only negligence. So, most of the time, yeah. So, let's move on to a safety engineer ensures that all conditions at the site is in tune with safe practices. So for example, makikita natin sa mga harap na construction site, mayroong attire na sinasabing this attire is not safe. Yung nakasando, walang boots, walang gloves, tapos mayroon yung half na picture na nagsasabi, ito yung safe na picture. So the job ng safety engineer is to check each and every one. Yung laborers, are they complying with safe practices? Then yung site, are there handrails? Are there, kung merong nasa top floor, meron ba silang harness? So yun yung ginagawa ng safety engineer. Chine-check niya every single detail which contributes to the safety of the site. So, okay.
Thank you, sir. So question number 2 is, how do you practice safety engineering?
So how do I practice? Actually, I'm more of a structural engineer, more in the office. And usually, faculty ako, so most of the time sa office. Kung of course, engineers at the site, so I'll just describe how they practice safety engineering. So what they do is, usually they have a black and white document saying this and that. You should, as I've said, some examples a while ago, everything should have railing, the site should have railing, everybody should have a harness if the site is hazardous. And to practice safety engineering is just to follow these principles, pero at the same time, dapat proactive ka. No? So just in case there's a situation na it's not written in black and white, dapat proactive ka, use your common sense. So for example, merong mga paint cans na nasa stair, so it could be a tripping hazard, pwede mag-trip yung mga tao. So usually wala sa wala sa libro yun, wala nasasabi don't put paint cans beside the stairs.
Yeah.
Pero minsan, common sense, most likely somebody might trip on that. So yun, being proactive. So yun yung good, following standard procedures and at the same time being proactive and using your common sense minsan.
Thank you, sir. So number 3 is, how do you define accidents?
So, actually, accidents, para sa akin, hindi siya unforeseen. It's usually a result of negligence, of not anticipating everything, every single hazard in your site. So, yun na lang. Ayoko siya i-define na unforeseen event.
So, number 4 is, how do you avoid?
Flood. Ay, hindi unforeseen yun. Okay, next.
So, next is, how do you avoid?
Actually, marami na akong sinabi kanina kung how to avoid it. Just being proactive and following standard procedures and at the same time, being proactive. Okay.
So, number 5 is, what can you say about the practice of safety engineering here in the Philippines?
So, actually, among the AAA contractors, a lot of them give a lot of effort just to comply with safety practices. Pero actually, there's still AAA contractors that I don't know if there are. I'm not going to name names, but there are still some contractors who don't follow good safety practices. And what more for small contractors, big contractors, most of the sites you will see that they don't have boots, they don't have steel toe boots, no gloves, no harness when they're in the roof. So it's not yet in a very good state, to put it mildly.
So number 6 is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how do Filipino engineers prioritize safety first?
I think I'll copy Miss Capi's answer. It's 5. A lot of maybe majority of the construction industry don't follow sound safety practices here.
So number 7 is, what can you suggest for its improvement?
First, implement monitoring from the government, and next, if there's a government initiative, so next is the client initiative. So your client also must be proactive, always saying na we can't have accidents here, it might ruin our reputation, whatever. So also the client should be also involved in the safety practices, not just for the profit. So most of them say, okay yan, baka magmahal pa yung kontrata niya, no? So maraming ganun yung mentality. But again, next the owners, then next the contractors. So also, actually connected siya sa government implementation. So ma-regulate sila ng government, and the contractors would maybe toe in line. But of course, hindi ma-monitor palagi ng government. So yeah, it's up to them if they always have to follow. Then last, yung sa rank and file, yung mentality. Yung mentality ng Filipino, no? So sinasabi nila Filipinos are fatalistic, whatever maybe. So siguro dapat mawala na yung mentality that yung sinabi ko kanina, no, yung unforeseen events. Actually, accidents are not unforeseen. They are a result of negligence. So para sa akin, yung may improve yung mentality na from management to rank and file, maging proactive sila sa safety. Actually no excuses yung iba, kasi parang sasabihin, okay na to. Parang may isang situation, sabihin nila, siguro hindi naman mangyayari ito, hindi ko muna susundan. So dapat, consistent ka rin. Consistent, proactive, being proactive in that, and being consistent. Hindi pwede yung may isang sitwasyon na papalampasin mo lang. Dapat, consistent.
So number 8 is, tell us your experience with your profession regarding safety engineering.
Actually, I only had experience with construction during my OJT. After that, I was involved in design, so usually nasa office ako. Pero, yung sa mga contractors, usually nasa site visit, and most of the time, nagko-complain naman yung mga contractors na nag-involved dun sa project namin. So, in my experience, the few contractors, the few projects that I inspected, they are following good practices. So that's from my experience. But of course, upon ocular inspection of all construction sites, you can see that not all of them follow good safety practices.
So number 9 is, what do you think are the requirements for becoming a safety engineer?
I think first, of course, you must be an engineer.
Yeah, so
you must finish BSCE. Actually, from my experience during my OJT, the safety engineers were, some of them were mechanical engineers, some of them were civil. So you can, when you're mechanical, when you're civil, you can be a safety engineer. And next, I think they should be oriented. I think there should be an additional subject regarding this, for them to see the importance. For example, they would know the statistics that maybe 1 out of 10 accidents happen in this kind of situation. That sort of, maybe there are studies regarding that, and I think maybe there should be a separate engineering field, I don't know. But minsan kasi makikita mo yung iba medyo they just follow the procedures, pero hindi sila proactive. So pina-follow lang yung they just follow what is written, pero wala yun nga, yung sinasabi mo nga, there are situations that not everything is written for every situation. So yun lang.
So, number 10, sir. As a professor, what can you contribute to safety engineering spread here in the Philippines?
Since I'm focused more on design subjects, so it's a stretch to incorporate safety. But maybe for example, when I'm teaching design, I could mention some stories about safety in the site. So let's say, one example, in New Zealand, they already prefer couplers, as in yung mga rebars, instead of being yung naka-overhang lang, ang ginagawa nila, nilalagay nila later, ni-screw in nila yung reinforcement para hindi siya sa site. Hindi siya impediment sa movement of the people at the site. So kung ilalagay lang nila yung reinforcement, yung parang isa-screw lang pag pag magpo-pour na ng concrete. So yun nga, ang preferred nila is yun nga, couplers, para yung mga tao kung naglalakad, hindi siya flat lang siya, pero may nakaabang na yung mga ganun. Siguro yun, I could mention those type of stories so that they are aware of good safety practices abroad. So yun, makikita mo nga yung difference. Kahit yung mga ganun, yung nakalawit na reinforcement, kasi danger yun. Pwede sumabing yung damit mo doon, yung mga nakaganon. Pwede siya, yung masa hazard siya.
So, adapting, sir, yung...
Yan. Siguro, yan. Kasi marami rin ako experience, design experience abroad. So, makikita mo yung practices nila, yung dedication nila to safety, makikita mo. Then, siguro, pakwento-kwento na sa klase. Pero hindi siya incorporated sa kasi hindi, ang focus ko is more on design. So, si Miss Capis, yun ang niya. Maganda kasi, may subjects sa mga construction methods. And talagang, it's part of the curriculum, of the course, yung safety dun sa subjects nila sa construction. Pero sa akin, hindi ka ka-applicable. Siguro magbibigay lang ako ng anecdotes just to emphasize safety. Ayun, siguro ganun.
Okay, sir. So, we're done. So, thank you, sir, for having this interview. It's our honor to have you.
Grabe
Sir,
naman.
thanks, sir.